Today, I want to ask you about injuries and injury prevention. Phil just rolled his eyes. You wrote a whole Phil Timer letter on this recently, and it was possibly one of my favourite ones of the year. Anyway, first question: What was what's the worst injury you've ever had? What happened? Why? I mean, in the weight room.
Worst injury. It's got to be where I nearly tore my hamstring in two when I was at uni. I got it into my head that I wanted to be some sort of power lifter, even though I'd only been training like a year, maybe a year and a half. Yeah, about a year and a half, and I wasn't strong. I was quite fat too because I lost a lot of weight to start with, and then I put a lot of weight back on to build up my baseline of strength, which is good. And as I said last time, it was the I'm still riding on that to this day, the strength and muscle that I built in that
Mm.
period. So it's not something I regret doing, but my power to weight ratio, shall we say, was not what it should be to go and do a powerlifting meet. And I realised that because I was weighing probably 90-ish kilos, about 90 kilos, maybe a bit
Mm.
more than that, 95. And I was only squatting kind of 170 for a single that was probably a bit high. My deadlift was about 180. Um, benching, bench was in the toilet somewhere where it's lived for a long time. Anyway, the point is that I needed to get my strength up and lose weight in the run up to that meet to avoid completely and utterly embarrassing myself. So I went and entered in the 82.5 kilo category, despite the fact that I was, well, let's say I was like 90 kilos. So that's just do math, 7.5 kilos.
Yeah.
So it's
Is it
four.
up to 82 and a
Yeah,
half? Is
yeah,
that the
yeah,
weight
yeah, yeah,
limit? Yeah.
yeah, 82.49. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, or maybe it is 82.5. I don't know. Point is that's the upper limit, and I
Yeah.
was 7.5 kilos heavier than that, which in stone is it's over a stone and a half, isn't it? I don't know.
It's a lot. Yeah.
I don't know what it is in
2.2
old
pounds to
fashioned.
the kilo. So,
Yeah.
yeah, a
So
lot.
I had to lose all that weight in about 3 months, and also increase all of my lifts by at least 20%.
Yeah.
And I thought I could do that. So I
In what period of time?
about 3 months.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it was. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I was studying to be a paramedic at the time, so I was working shifts
Yeah.
on ambulances and also doing. I was on my hospital. It was my second year, so I was doing my hospital placement block. So I was spending 10, 12, 14 hours a day in the hospitals because I'd only get to go to the specific departments like cardiology or pediatrics. I'd only get like 3 or 4 days there.
Mm.
So I was literally really kicking the ass out of it. I was there for like 12, 14 hours, 16 hours. And the longest I was on a maternity one. This is a few months later, but just to give some context, I was doing 20-hour days to see as many deliveries as I could, you know. So I was absolutely knackered and also training. So I also was upping the intensity of my training and trying to diet.
Yeah.
And yeah, the consequence of that was that I tore my hamstring almost in two.
What exercise were you doing?
I was deadlifting at the time, and I felt a pop, but it didn't hurt. It was just like a really weird, like a wet pop that didn't
Ugh.
hurt. Yeah, it did, but as I said,
Ooh.
no pain at all.
No.
And then I went to do some good mornings. I finished my deadlifts. Well, that was the last set of deadlifts I was doing anyway, so I stopped. And I went and did some good mornings. And I unracked the bar, and I remember feeling like my pelvis felt really unstable.
Mm.
Like it felt like there was something like not attached.
Like one of the guy ropes on a tent had been severed.
I don't know because I don't do camping, but
Okay.
like it just felt really strange.
Yeah.
Still no pain though. Not it was aching, but it wasn't like pain. It
Mm.
was kind of like slightly worse than the usual end of training aches. So I went home and I woke up in blinding agony, and then my leg just started to bruise where I tore my hamstring, and yeah, it just started this months of real problems I was having. Again, not what you want when you're training to be a damn paramedic, is it? And you're doing all that sort of stuff. I was having to drive from Bristol to Swindon, with like burning lightning pain down the back of my leg
Mm.
on my clutch foot.
Is that the sort of injury that needs to be surgically repaired sometimes?
I don't know. It can be. I mean, it's quite hard to actually tear your hamstring off like
Mm.
properly. It's a big, thick muscle. It's not like a biceps tendon, like a hamstring tendon
Right.
problem, or a biceps tendon's not. Yeah, it's not. You can pop that quite easily. Well, not quite easily, but you know what I mean. Or like a rotator cuff problem. They're quite friable
Yeah.
little muscles. So I hadn't. It was a tear, but it wasn't like a torn off, if that
Yeah.
makes
That
sense.
makes it does make
And also
sense.
because I don't abuse steroids, like my tendons are healthy. You get people with like pec tendon tears because they abuse steroids, and then the exogenous testosterone kind of weakens the tendon and it pops under the heavy
Mm.
load. doesn't happen in natural athletes. Um, so so yeah, that's kind of that kicked off months of real problems. I remember coming down for breakfast one morning. The house I was living in had 3 floors and a basement, and the kitchen was in the basement, so 4 floors. I remember coming down like from down towards the basement to get my breakfast, and I just had to stop moving my back. So you've had this happen to you, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because obviously the hamstring being connected to the hips, being connected to the lower back, I had started to cause lots of lower back problems, and obviously being a bit overweight at the time, that was made a lot worse.
Mm.
And I had to stop. I was just like lie on the floor.
This is something that I think you taught me that I hadn't thought of before is when you injure, especially if you injure a joint,
Yeah,
like you have to consider one.
joint above and below. Yeah.
Yeah, where's that from?
What I was taught whenever that was like my clinical stuff, which I don't really talk about now because I'm not a clinician. I'm retired.
No.
But no, when I was taught to assess like someone with a hurt knee, you would look at the ankle and the hip. You always examine one joint above and below for injuries. I can't. It's so long ago now. I can't remember the specific reasons for that. But I remember
Mm.
it's probably just biomechanics and mechanism of injury stuff. I wouldn't like to say definitively because I'll mislead the 3 people that are listening. But yeah, no, it's a handy little tidbit for understanding how your body reacts to injury, though, because people tend to think of the body in compartments, don't they? They
Yeah.
think that if they hurt their arm, they struggle to see how that will have a knock-on effect to the way that they squat, but it will, because if you hurt your arm, say you hurt your bicep, and you're not able to put the bar in the proper position,
Mm.
or support the bar correctly in a back squat, then that's obviously going to throw off the angle so that your ordinary angles that your various joints take and the bar path. And obviously that's if the bar path is say it's showing throwing you forward. Say you have to put the bar higher up on your traps than you used to.
Mm.
That's going to throw you forwards. That's going to put a strain on the lower back
Yeah.
from a bicep injury. It's not like a body. Yeah, as I say, the
It's a
body is not.
secondary.
It's a complex system that everything works interdependently. So yeah. Anyway, do you want to know about the injury? It was about 5 years, basically. Long story short, before I
I'm going to let you talk about rehab whilst I go and get
Oh,
our screaming
okay.
child. Tell
Bye.
them about how you got back to
Yeah,
fighting.
my daughter is screaming because it's she's just woken up from her nap. Anyway, it was about it's like talking to an answering machine. This. No, it was about 5 years before I could deadlift again properly after that, and I had intermittent issues with my back specifically. The hamstring healed up quite nicely, but I had intermittent issues with my back for a long time after that. I remember, wait, I got so bad at one point I thought I had spine cancer because I was waking up in the middle of the night with this horrific back pain, and I was getting quite worked up about that. But in terms of rehab, I didn't really do anything specific. I went to see a physio a few times, and they helped me out, gave me some basic exercise. I just did those, but really it was just patience, proper programming and patience. So I didn't do things that would aggravate the back. So I, there were that sort of yes, deadlifting was aggravating the back, so I didn't do it. I did other movements instead, and then I just waited it out, and that's how it healed. It's quite hard to talk when you're looking at an empty chair. Oh, Jess is back, and she's got biscuits, not for me, for the child. So yeah, I basically just said that the rehab process. I mean, I went to see a physio and I did the movements that they gave me, and then I held a lot of patience and avoiding stuff that hurt. And then when I did get back to deadlifting properly because my back wasn't hurting anymore, and I was like, okay, I can deadlift again now. Um, I am. It's really distracting.
Sorry, hang on. There we are. Biscuit is
Good.
free from its
Um,
packing. Go.
yeah, no, I actually just found and paid a PT to, or say PT was a strength and conditioning coach to actually teach me how to deadlift properly and really make sure that the form was okay. And that was that. Really, it was about 25 quid. It was the best 25 quid I ever spent. So yeah, that's that.
So I think in your one injury, you've encompassed possibly 3 or 4 reasons for injury: stupidity, fatigue from work,
Oh, I was just
poor
dumb.
form.
I was just dumb. Like all injuries are caused by stupidity to a greater or less degree. There's always a degree. There's always stupidity because there is absolutely like weightlifting specifically is the safest form of exercise that you can do, and this has been proved with studies. Like, there's like injury rates per 1,000 hours of training. I think like weightlifting is like 0.1 injuries per 1,000 hours of training. Because what other activities do you do where you know exactly the movement you're going to do with exactly exactly how many times you're going to do it, and you can stop at any time,
Yeah,
and there's nothing unpredictable about
no,
it.
standing still, nothing
Contrast that to a
moving.
game of football.
Yeah,
It's why it really grinds my gears when people say kids shouldn't lift weights. Now I don't train kids, don't even train my own kids. They train with us if they want to. I'm not interested. This isn't advice, but just think about it. What's safer? Having a kid do some like dumbbell squats, like goblet squats, or have them play a game of football with 10 other children running around trying to kick each
on
other's
wet
shins in on
grass.
wet grass where
Yeah,
they're slipping and sliding and the twisting injuries and all sorts of stuff.
yeah,
So it's very safe, and cardio as well when you do it out with a relaxed long term mindset. As much as I hate that word, it's very hard to hurt yourself doing that, because you should really only be running distances that you can confidently manage at a pace you find comfortable the whole way, and you steadily increase that over time. And then if it's starting to get a bit tough, like at the moment I'm dieting, aren't I, Jess? I'm
yeah,
getting a bit of fat off that I've accumulated. And what have we found? We found that because of the drastically decreased calorie intake, and the much, probably more to do with the lack of carbs really in the diet, that
yeah,
because I find it easiest to just get rid of stuff like bread. Without that, I'm finding it really hard to do the runs that I was doing before.
yeah,
So what have I done? I've cut back the distance. Yesterday, I just did some cycling instead for an hour on my bike in my front room, because I could, you know because I was running 4 or 5 miles before, twice a week, 3 times a week, so I must continue doing that. That's ego. It's
yeah.
pure ego. When actually we can look, the material circumstances have changed, so I'm just going to back off and I'll run 2.5 miles, 3 miles tops. That's all I'll do, once or twice a week. And then anything when I'm supposed to be running, I don't want to run, I'll do cycling. It's not.
I know your opinion on road cycling is
Oh, it's
not
gay.
something that we would do,
That's
but I
gay.
think it's possibly one of the most dangerous cardio sports you can do, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
I mean,
And this is when we're
injuries.
now venturing into the realm of road traffic
Yeah,
legislation and things. But no, I don't understand why people would ride a bike on the road. It's just stupid. We don't have the infrastructure in the UK to do it safely.
no.
I just don't get it. But hey, whatever people want to do, they can do that. Next question, please.
Tell us about the cool down the fill time and way.
No, because you've got to buy my stuff. Why would I tell people about how to do something when it's a product that I sell? If you want to know, the cheap is like £5. It's like I've printed it about 8 times in the Big Book of Fitness, haven't I? It's £5. It's on my site. If you Google Phil Simon's Big Book of Fitness, it will take you right there. But no, I won't deal into specifics. But what I will say is that you're an absolute idiot if you don't warm up and cool down before and after training, respectively. I would include myself in that category. I often neglect it. You saw me neglect it yesterday, didn't you, Jess?
Yep.
And when I neglect it, what happens? I get tight, I get sore, I get aches and pains and niggles that I otherwise don't get when I do it properly. When I take literally 5 fucking minutes before and after training, or 6 minutes or whatever, to just get my body prepared for exercise and to wind it down afterwards.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Well, the exercise science people say that you don't need to. Some exercise science people. So there's two extremes in the weirdo exercise science world. One extreme, you've got people who are like, oh no, if you like stretch before your workouts, that's going to reduce peak force production. No, 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 no. And you've got those people. On the other extreme, you've got people who spend like 45 minutes warming up, and 5 minutes training. We used to know a guy like that down in Bournemouth, didn't we? He
Yeah.
was a PT, and he would have his clients doing like 30-minute warm up drills. But no, like the, there is a reason why when you were at school they had you do these basic warm ups,
Yeah.
like, and cool down. It's just, yeah. So that's all I have to say on it. Do it. Find a protocol that works for you and just do it.
Yeah.
If it's taking half your training session, it's probably
Really a bit
probably a
much.
bit excessive.
Yeah.
But yeah, crack on. If you want to know how I do it, you got to buy one of my books, haven't you?
It's in most of your books,
It's
isn't
in
it?
all of my books.
Cool. And you mentioned it.
The only time that it won't be in a book is, for example, in Operation Winnow, the Elite Program Series from Phil Time Letter, because it's assumed subscribers
Have
have it.
left.
But when I
Yeah.
print it as a separate thing, I'll put it in there.
Niggles.
Yes, there's a whole letter. I
It's
think that I might be lying because it's been a long time since I actually looked at that book, but I think I wrote a whole letter on it, if not like a good part of a letter on it to Connie. So yeah,
I think you alluded to this earlier. What are your current niggles and what you're doing about it?
Current niggles, I haven't really got any. I haven't really got any, Jess.
That shoulder
Oh
injury
yeah,
and your
I twatted my shoulder, didn't I, a little bit over the summer by being an idiot. Um, yeah, I've got a rule about 2 pulls for every push, and I just didn't obey it in the summer, and then lo and behold, 3 weeks later, I've hurt my shoulder, like my rotator cuff, and that's still a bit problematic. But there's nothing really. I'm not really doing anything to fix that shoulder. It's just a patience thing, and yeah, doing lots of just training properly, and I don't experience any pain in my shoulder when doing anything that I would ordinarily do. So I'm able to overhead press without issue. I can do my rows, I can do my pull-ups, I can do all of that stuff. I can move the shoulder through a full range of motion without pain. Really, the only issues I've got now are like lying on it for an extended period of time, so I don't sleep on my left hand side anymore.
Didn't you have golfer's elbow?
Oh yeah, my golfer's elbow. That's been a recurring issue of mine for a long time. Happens. It's one of those things when you do a lot of reps, you get the kind of it's like an RSI, isn't it? Repetitive strain injury.
Yeah.
That one of the weirdest things. I was doing a Google. I found on I think it was the Starting Strength forums maybe, or it could have been T Nation forums, one of the two. Someone suggested doing wrist curls to um, to to fix it, and knowing what I know about the anatomy, I figured
That makes
made
sense.
sense and
Yeah.
it wouldn't hurt to give it a go. So I started doing a couple of sets of 12 wrist curls with dumbbells on each
Mm.
arm at the end of one of my lifting workouts. And yeah, that within it was about 2 weeks, wasn't it? I was like, my elbow didn't hurt anymore.
Yeah, you did a bit of
Yeah.
ice packing as well, didn't you?
Well, no, that was once. That was when it was really bad. That
Oh,
was
was it?
before the golf result. Yeah, it was before I did the wrist curls, and I was doing the wrist curls. Now it doesn't hurt anymore. That's not medical advice. I'm not suggesting anyone try it. You know, if you want my definitive answer, you're gonna have to pay me, aren't you, for coaching? But no, it certainly made sense to me, and I did it, and it worked. So whether someone else tries that would experience the same, I don't know. But
Cool. Do you have anything else to add on injury prevention at this
yeah,
time?
one very most important thing, and I was going to say it right at the start when I rolled my eyes, is that I don't really comment on what to do in case of injury because what to do in case of injury is to go and see a doctor and follow their advice. And I mean a doctor. I don't mean a chiropractor. I don't mean a sports massage therapist. I don't mean an acupuncturist. I mean a
Mm.
fucking doctor or physiotherapist. And then do exactly what they say. And if what they say is stop training,
Yeah.
then do what they say. Stop training and, follow their advice. Honestly, if I had a fiver for every time someone had come to me and said, oh, Phil, my doctor's told me I shouldn't do X, Y, Z, or told me that I should stop training. What do you think? I probably have enough to comfortably retire in a third world
Mm.
country.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I have to say on the matter. Cool. So yeah, if you like this mess of a video with the interruption partway through from my screaming child,
And biscuits.
yeah, if you made it this far, you should really probably should like the video and subscribe to the channel. I mean, there are 12 of us now, and I don't think any of them are my mum, which is nice.
Yeah.
But better than doing all of that crap. No, better than doing any of that crap though would be to get onto my email list, which you can do by typing in philtimon.co.uk into a browser of your choice and clicking the big green button that's right in front of you when you arrive on my page saying subscribe to the newsletter, and then putting your email address in and waiting for my daily missives. I'm a much better writer than I am a speaker, so if you like this, you'll definitely like that. Um, so yeah, until next time, which may be tomorrow, maybe not. Who knows? Such an adventure.